The Five Bloods is a new film directed by Spike Lee, and it's a new film on Netflix. And Spike Lee, you know, he's a good director. Numbers cannot lie with his credentials and accolades. And he was completely snubbed when he was lost to Green Book. I feel like BlacKkKlansman should have won. But outside of that, you cannot deny the fact of his credentials. He's a good director, an accomplished director. He's all about presenting the message in his shape of form and how he sees it from his point of view. He does his best to try and presenting things from both sides. I feel like that is one of the most important things that gets the people talking, that brings up debates in some of his films. And this film's all about four vets must battle the forces of the man of nature when they return back to Vietnam seeking the remains of their squad leader, who's being played by Chadwick Boseman, aka Black Panther.
Coincidence? I think not!
Also, they're trying to find the gold that he helped them hide when they were back in Vietnam in the early 70s. And also, they're trying to seek his body in present day. I want to get the cons out the way first. It's not really much of a big deal. It's pretty much around the first act. The first act was dialogue heavy. In the beginning, you have the introduction of his characters. These four African-American vets that pretty much like introducing each character, and you understand that these characters have been friends for a long time. They're just walking up to one another like really all good brotherly love and good sensation. You felt the camaraderie, you felt the banter, you felt that these brothers actually felt like they're war veteran brothers. These were real brothers. It felt real, authentic, beautiful feeling. But this was a little tricky right here because I had to think about it, that this movie was trying to send a message through two fronts. It dealt with the concept of war, trying to heal, trying to cope with the fact that you just experienced war and now it's affecting your life in later years. Another thing I like about this movie was this filming technique. The way this film was directed, he directed it in 3 different styles, and also he changed the aspect ratio. The man was a strategist with that camera. Since his last 2 films, there's an interesting transition he interconnects with each scene. Either it's a historical scene that gives out a horrifying message. For this movie right here, there are scenes that had interconnected scenes that corresponds with the previous scenes that happened, but also he changes the aspect ratio when the film entered in different timelines. That gives it that aesthetic feel. You see the scenery is all grainy as if it was directed in the 1970s. That Spike Lee did with the actors. Like in the flashback scenes, you would think that they have like younger actors play the original characters, but they had the older characters play the younger characters, and I understood that style. He switched the aspect ratio, like when the first act, the aspect ratio had the regular style, and then when it flashed back into the 70s, into Vietnam, it had that grainy style. It switched to a 4:3 aspect ratio, and then when it got to the third act, I have a 4K TV. Everything was crystal clear. Everything wasn't crystal clear in the first act. It was like regular, like standard definition. Everything was crystal clear, as if he was directing in almost identical to IMAX cameras. And I thought that was a strategist working his best. He put effort, he took care. He wanted to take care of your eyes. The best way to describe his camera work is unpredictable. It talked heavily on racism revolving around the military, and it also dealt with all the things we're dealing with today. I just thought that the actors had good performances. This had good writing, good directing. I was really I was floored. Like I said, this film dealt heavily on racism, but also it dealt heavily on soldiers trying to conflict with the enemy. Like thinking that the enemy is forever their enemy, and they're believing that the enemy is still around them even when they're no longer in Vietnam. And it sometimes could be racial. It doesn't really apply to the military. It applies to everyday life. That also applies to one character in this movie, and that's what the concept that it revolves around, the war within the mindset. It revolves around one character, Delroy Lindo. I'm never going to forget that name. He had a one hell of a performance, and I have to say that he had the best performance of the year, hands down. He's mentally broken. He is just miserable. You can understand he's miserable though. Like even the character himself can understand he's miserable, but he's so stubborn and in denial that he doesn't want to go against it. So he just all in. And he is basically a batshit nutcase and unstable. This was the best performance of the whole entire film. Outstanding performance. Instantly, I think he wins an Oscar. I can't think of anyone, especially in the pandemic. He instantly got the Oscar right now. And the one thing that I just didn't really like, that he was a Trump supporter. He even wore the MAGA hat. And that's where the film became... Yeah, and that's a topic I don't really like going. But yes, I'm going to have to give this movie a Christian Bale Batman. I'm definitely going to buy this movie on Blu-ray. So that's my review of The Five Bloods. Have you seen The Five Bloods? What are your thoughts? Comment below and let's talk about it. And I'll see you guys in my next review. And if you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel and join me and the Batman family. I have more Batman-tastic reviews in the way. You have been warned. Till then, ciao.